Okay. I think the stream is up and running. And okay, so things look like they're going okay. I'm going to hope that my audio is recording okay. Because it's one thing that actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to check anyway. Please excuse me for a second. Okay, so we have good audio, no clicking or anything like that. So that means we go ahead and get started. So it doesn't look like there's anyone in the stream yet, but that's not that surprising. I didn't have it open. Oh, actually, there are people in the stream. Cool. Anyway, so for those of you that missed last week or the week before, essentially I said I was going to start a new track from scratch series. And that's what this is right here. So what we're going to be talking about, or not what we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be doing for this track from scratch, we're going to be doing a deep house track. And one of the cool things that is different from this stream and the previous streams is I updated a lot of my plugins here because I got like a whole ton of new plugins. So I got one paid plugin, which is Volume Shaper, and I'm from this stream and the previous stream. Why is it playing back still? Okay, so I have this one plugin and that I bought, and most of the other ones are all free here, but there's some pretty cool ones that I'll show you guys a lot more about later. I got Isotope Vinyl, that one's free. TDR Labs Proximity is a cool effect that I haven't tried out yet. But the idea is it allows you to get things to sound farther away without having to do complex mixing techniques. Theoretically, it should just, push things back into distance sort of sense. So, hey, Shryans, welcome to the stream. How did you get vinyl? It's if you go to Isotope's site, I should just drop a link for some of this stuff. So Isotope Vinyl, it's a little bit annoying because you have to go through like the whole registration process, and they set it all up like they're gonna charge you, but they actually don't charge you. Because like the price is $0, but you have to go through the whole checkout process, create an account, like put in your billing information. It's kind of weird, but so let me grab the link here. Isotope Vinyl. Here we go. So I am putting this in the chat as well as there's a lot you have to go through. I'm putting it in the chat as well as the description of the video. So it'll be there for you guys too. Let me get rid of this. There we go. But yeah, it's a pain in the butt to get it, but because there's so many hurdles you have to go through. But it is 100% free. I was able to get it, and despite the fact that you even have to like activate it, despite the fact that it's free. Maybe this was a paid plugin before, and then they switched it over to free. I'm not 100%. But anyway, some other stuff that I got here. What was some of the other stuff? Blue Cat Frequency Analyst. Is that new? I don't remember. So Trigger Gate. I don't remember what this one is. It's kind of. Oh, this one's like a. It's just a gate for doing audio gating, which I didn't have before. I used to use what do you call it? Stormgate, but it doesn't work on Logic because it's not 64-bit. And then just a few other ones. We got OTT, which I believe this is just a compression plugin that I've seen a few professionals using, so I decided, I'll grab it, it's free. Then there's a lot by this guy, but he also collaborated with some other ones to create these. So here's a compressor that he made. It kind of looks like his limiter number 6 that we've used quite a bit before, but I figured, we'll grab another compressor. That'll be fun. Use it sometimes, see the tone that we could get from it. And some other really cool ones. This one is called Nova, and what this is, it's an EQ, but it's actually a dynamic EQ. And we can't do much with it because we haven't set it up quite, but what you could do with each of these bands is you could actually set it up so it boosts, but as the volume level increases, it'll reduce the boost a little bit. Now this is great for vocals. If you have like a vocal, and let me just go to the default. I can't recall default. Well, what do you do? Default. Try that. No. Minimum. Default. There we go. Okay. Well, that didn't work too well. I thought I was going to reset it. But anyway, if you have like a vocal, one of the things you'll often do is you'll want to boost around here. But the problem is the instant they make a s sound, it sounds very harsh. So so we boost around here, but it's nice for when those S sounds like spike up, it can actually automatically pull this band down a little bit. So it's doing an EQ boost, but not as much as it would be doing by default. All of these are free. Yes, every single one of these is free. I'm not going to put a link to all of them because it's kind of hard to find links for every single one because they're all in different places. Just try to catch the names. So yeah, this one is a really cool plugin. iZotope Ozone 6, I believe, just added this feature. I think they're now at Ozone 7 though, but it was in Ozone 6 that they added this feature to their mastering suite. So it's a really neat thing here that you can have for free. This is called Nova. But, okay, let's see some other ones here. I know this is a bit of a drag, but I kind of want to get a few more people in the stream before we start getting into the meat of this. Okay, so TDR Labs, Tokyo Dawn Labs. So these guys, they also made this, which I don't remember what it is. Oh, yeah, this is a compressor. Just another compressor, because it's always nice to have multiple compressors, because it just, like, choosing the tone of a compressor doesn't seem like a big deal until you actually get multiple compressors, and once you've used Logic's compressor for a while, you start to hear its characteristics, and then when you use these other ones, you start to hear their different characteristics. And one of the things that you could get is you get a more, I say transparent sound, but it's not really transparent. It's kind of like a hi-fi sound where it's a little more aggressive with the mids and not so much, not quite as aggressive in the bass or the high end. So that's where you get like this. It sounds more clean, but it's not really. It's just more aggressive on the mids. And then there's the opposite, which is warmer compressors, which are less aggressive on the mids and more aggressive on the high and low end. So you end up with this warmer, more round sound. And it's great to have that because it's not really something you could emulate with EQ. It's something you kind of need a compressor to do. So there's that. Slick EQ. This is just a nice EQ plugin because I found out when I got Overtone GEQ by Vox and Go, I really like the tone of this different EQ. I think this was like the first time I've gotten a different EQ in a while. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just grab this other EQ because it is free. And I believe this was a collaboration once again between our good friend, this guy. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I know it's going to sound completely wrong. But him and Tokyo Dawn Labs, I think they collaborated to make a lot of these plugins here. And other than that, I didn't get too much. Volume Shaper 4 is paid, but I decided I'd pick that up. This is basically Kickstart, for those of you wondering. So if you've seen Nicky Romero's Kickstart, this is the plugin that Kickstart is based off of. Do not buy Kickstart, buy this one. This is a lot more flexible. Kickstart, you're basically stuck with these presets and some of these other ones as well. But you can't edit them in Kickstart. In this one, you can edit them. So that's why I grabbed this. And it is on sale for $24 right now. And for those of you that are watching the recorded video, it is April 26th, 2016, and the sale ends May 2nd, I believe. So this is $24 as opposed to $40. So if you're interested in Kickstart and you're looking at getting that one for $16 or I think it's $15. If you're looking at Kickstart for $15, just spend the extra $10 and get this because it could do gating as well. Which is pretty neat, and also it allows you to, once again, you could edit this. So if you like this preset, but you're like, it's just like it doesn't give quite enough room for the kick, then you can move this back and adjust the curve a little bit just to get it so it's perfect and exactly how you want it. So my strong suggestion here is don't get Kickstart, get this, because the presets are exactly the same. It's just now you could edit them. So yeah, okay. Show off how to create that. Okay, the filter sound is what you're referring to there. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. There was a few. Trigger Gate, I already talked about that one, and these are old ones that I never end up using. Blue Cat Audio, I can't remember what this one is. Oh, this one is a new one I got. It's like, personally, I kind of like this layout a little bit more than the alternate here, which is the Voxengo span, just because I don't know. I kind of like it a little bit more. I'm not sure why. It's just, I don't know. But either way, it's just more metering plugins. That's free. So yeah, the only paid plugin I've gotten so far is the Cable Guys one. So everything else on this list that I've talked about, you could go through and check this out later when you're looking for these. But all the names are popping up on these menus here, so you could see those. And I just grabbed all these. Like I said, the only ones that aren't free out of my entire library are Synthmaster ones by KB331 Audio and the Cable Guys one. However, I am going to buy a few more, I think, because I'm just like at the point where I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to upgrade my studio a little bit. So for those of you that don't follow me on Twitter, first of all, you should follow me on Twitter because I post announcements as to when I'm starting streams. And second of all, I actually posted on Twitter that I got a new audio interface as well. So I'm going to try that out. See how that goes. Just because the piece of crap I have right now uses RCA. So, yeah. Okay. So, okay. So basically, if I recall correctly, if you're referring to the filter, okay. So let's just do this. I'm gonna go grab, progressive trance loops, drums. Loops. Just gonna grab one of these. This one's a good example. Okay, so I'm just dropping this one in here, and it's stretched way too much. We're not actually gonna use it. I used to start that hip hop track. No, not gonna do hip hop. That is not something I'm gonna pick up, unfortunately. Unfortunately for those of you that want to see it, that is. Not unfortunately for me. So basically what you have in that Avicii track is he's got this, the sound going, and he just kind of does this. So that's basically what he does. So it's pretty darn simple. It's not a complicated effect. Now you could do this using just a high cut with a little bit of resonance on it, which is changed by this little parameter here. So that's a lot of resonance. That's a little bit, you need that resonance though, because otherwise it just doesn't have the right feel to it. So, whoops, put that back to 12. But once again, it's kind of like this. And then he kind of just cuts it out, I think. I don't remember for sure. I'd play the track back, but last time I played a bunch of tracks back, it blocked the video from being uploaded, which is the first time it's done that. So I'm going to have to stop from now on. Oh, Vardy, you got the AKG K240s? Ah, sweet. Are you digging them? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's just a simple filter effect. There's a bunch of other ways to do it as well. You could go grab an actual filter plugin. Autofilter can do this. Just make sure that you turn off the modulation here. You don't want the envelope or the LFO modulating it. You probably could just turn off the distortion as well because you're going to be putting on a bunch of things. But yeah, this is basically just a filter here. We have different types of low pass. Here's our resonance knob, and we do the same thing here. Just have it up all the way. So that's basically what we're doing. But how do I make the filter do it automatically? Oh, okay, cool. So there's two ways to do this. The first way is using, gosh, what do you call it? It's a type of, so if I hit A here, we have automation. And so we could run manual automation here. So if I go to auto filter and then grab the cutoff here and slide it all the way up, I could just have this run like that for a while and then filter down. So it'll sound like this. And watch it. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, which may interest you, is if you go to latch with this one, you could actually do this. So and then you could actually do it manually, and it creates that automation there and follows exactly what you're doing. So so this allows you to do some very I don't know, some very fine-tuned adjustments. So you could like have it go down and then back up a little bit and then back down. And it follows it exactly. Now, this is one reason why I'd actually suggest getting a controller with knobs or faders on it when you're getting a MIDI controller. Because then what you could actually do is you could use those knobs and faders to do this. But then again, as I said when I was talking about those previously, is only get it if you do this a lot already and then you want to use knobs instead. So don't pay a lot for extra knobs and faders if you just want to, what do you call it? If you're just like, maybe I'll do it. I could do it with this automation thing now. If you already do a lot of this using Latch, like I showed you, then it's definitely, something that you'll want to look into. But otherwise, if you don't already use it, don't buy a whole lot of extra features just because you might use them. It's not really worth it in the long run. And yes, I'm going to start a new track today. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're starting right now. So it's just I had told Avardi if he asked me a question before, and I'm like, hey, it'd be a little hard to explain this in like a long paragraph format. So just ask me next time in the stream. So yeah. So okay. So we're gonna start a new track today. I'm gonna get rid of this track. Erase automation. Get rid of this track. Delete data. Awesome. So we're doing a deep house track like we decided last week, and I looked into a few things. So first of all, we have the BPM is going to be 120 to 125. So I'm sticking it on 120 for now, and we'll bring it up if we feel the need to. We won't start it faster and then bring it down because that tends to be a bit more of an issue. It's a lot easier to speed things up than slow things down. So that's what I'm going to do for now. And so we're going to stick with 120 BPM. And now we have two main options, and I'm kind of biased towards one, but I want to ask you guys' opinion. So there's two main foundations for, two options for main foundations for a deep house track. And that is a very simple kick with a kind of resonant bass line, or almost like an acid bass line, I think, if I recall correctly. I'm not 100%. I'm not too good on my names there, but let's pull up SynthMaster. I think it won't be too hard to find one. See if I could find one here. So we need to go basses. It's kind of like an acid, but not quite as rough. Kind of like this. Anyone got that GOT hype going? GOT. Oh, Game of Thrones. Oh, I don't watch Game of Thrones. I don't watch any American TV. So this is basically option one. We have a bass line like this. And then you have like this kind of nice punchy kick on top of it. Option two is you don't have a bass line and you resort to using like kind of like a sub bass, a synthesized sub bass. Well, that's right. I got another plugin, and I'll show you guys this because it's actually immediately relevant to this. It's called Mini Spillage, and if it'll work, there we go. So this is basically a drum synthesizer, and so we could use this to have like a pitched kick. Actually, I was under the impression we could actually have this. Thought we could pitch it up. Well, I mean, I know we could pitch it up using the settings here, like this. But I was trying to figure out if we could pitch it up using the notes, because that'd be a bit easier. I could just synthesize it manually, but so there's like the two types of options there. A simple kick and an acid style bass line. That's kind of what I wanted to do. Just because it's like, it's kind of similar to the other stuff I've done. Like this sort of, you know, that's like, it's kind of trance-esque. So I kind of like it. So I think I'll go for that instead. Additionally, I'm not 100% sure how to run this because I do know that if you use like these longer sort of kick sub sort of sounds, you don't do it like a regular kick, like right on beat. You actually have to do it in a sort of patterned way that I'm not too familiar with because I don't do a lot of that style. So I'm going to pass on that one for now unless things change it. So yeah. Try to challenge yourself and not go trance-esque. I don't know. Because, like, I kind of like the sort of vibe, you know, How Deep Is Your Love, Faded, and kind of tracks like that have, you know, just like a solid bass line. So that's kind of what I want to go for. So, I don't know. It's just... The one problem is, if I go based off of a sub kick here, I'm not going to get to do it now because I haven't had enough time to listen to break down the patterns that they typically do. So I can't, you know, do too much for this one because otherwise I'd just be dropping it right on beat and it wouldn't work because that's not how you're supposed to do it. So I don't know. I mean, we could start with something else instead. One of the other things I noticed is actually kind of interesting is apparently they use quite a bit of electric pianos in Deep House. Yeah, because the How Deep Is Your Love, it kind of has like a bass line kind of like this, except for one of the things that's a little different is the filter is a little bit lower down. And I think I think this particular synth is rougher than something you'd find in like How Deep Is Your Love. Because it's like, it's a lot more tonal, I guess, in that sort of one. So it's like, it's not quite as rough and grungy. It's more of like a hollow sort of sound. See if I can find a good one here. This one's a little bit too rumbly as well. Yeah, so it's almost closer to this, but... Now, I'll probably actually switch to Alchemy for the bass line. Because one of the things that Alchemy actually excels at are kind of these classic... sort of... I don't want to say corny bass sounds, but they kind of... like the cliche ones. Yeah. See, this is more what I was looking for. And then you just pull down the cutoff a bit. So I don't know. Maybe we could start with something like this. So I'm gonna grab a. I was actually gonna say I'm gonna grab a kick to drop in there, but I think we should try to start without the kick. Spectral synthesis part of Alchemy. No, I don't think I have. You got a lot of friends? Nah, not really. It's just something I don't pick up that much on. It's like, because I moved around a lot. So, you know, I made some friends, lost some friends, made some friends, lost some friends. Right now, my best friends are actually my siblings. Because I got like 9. Yeah, I got like 9 of them now or something like that. Just 9 or 10. I don't remember. So, yeah, got you guys. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so I think one of the things, first of all, gotta do the obvious gain. Gonna do, I feel like 10 dB today, so we're gonna do a 10 dB boost on the gain there. So we could just, so we could actually have it at a level that's a little bit more hearable for you guys. So I'm gonna go through a few of the presets here, because we got a whole bunch of electric piano presets, and I'm gonna see if I could find one that's kind of that kind of sounds like it fits for a deep house track. And I don't know, maybe we'll go and start with this one. Wait, I should probably do a minor chord. Kind of like the Electrica piano. Here, I'm gonna turn on my volume here so you could hear it a bit clearer. And we cycled our background to the top. So there were a few here that I liked. I don't remember which ones they were, so I'm going to go back through and see if I can find them. But Hey Train, did I already say Hey Train? I don't remember if I did. I was kind of caught up in the chords here. I think I already said hi to you, but I don't remember. Whatever. Well, hey anyway. There's a third time for you. If not second. So this one's like, I like this one and this one, I think. Oh, this one too. This was the other one I was looking for. I think this one's a bit too much like a pad. So, okay. Where was I? It was this one. I think I like this one because it's kind of got like this weird sort of chorusy sound. I think I have an idea here. Let's try this. You get out of the way. Move the animation there. So we're gonna go. I have an idea. Don't know if it's gonna work. Put loop here. Hmm. Okay, so what chord do I have here, first of all? So we have a... I have no idea what kind of chord this is. Hmm. Put these a bit longer so we could hear them a bit better. I think, I don't know. What do you guys think? How do you think this sounds? Do you think that's a good tone we have going there? What do you guys think? I'm gonna find a kick while I wait for your guys' responses. Because I need a kick to figure out how the timing is working. We'll go to producer spot. Kicks. Oh, I need to turn it down. Why are all these kicks so terrible? That's okay. Back to my default kick sample pack, apparently. I'm going to try this kick, because I think if I filter out the high end, it'll sound a little bit softer. Okay. Copy, paste, copy, paste. Okay, so is the verdict in? Sound like they were made with 3x OSE. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe another repeat of the chord after the first long one. Might be a good idea. Yeah, okay, so, oh, sorry about that, guys. Gain, -12. See, that's why you have to check. This is a weird thing I'm doing. Okay. Love the stream because always kind of the same people and everyone knows each other already. Yeah, that is great. I'm glad that happened because now it's not just like, you know, dead silence. It's actually there's stuff to chat about. And you guys are kind of like, oh, yeah, yeah. Remember that one track I sent you? You know, things like that. This is really cool. Now I'm going to try copying this over here. I think this might work. Okay. Let's try that. Okay, now we'll just try to change the instrument to something else. I'm gonna go for alchemy and see if I can find something weird. Go for mallets. Find some mallets here. I really like that song. The kick is an F. It's not supposed to be tuned or fit yet. We're just dropping it in for the sake of having it. We're probably gonna need something in D sharp or A sharp. So. I like this sound. Sometimes I choose the kick based on the key. Other times I'll just go by listening. It really depends on the genre as to how important it is to get your kick and key. Like if you're doing trap or big room house, you really need to make sure your kick is in key. For progressive house, it can be important, but not too amazingly important. Like I said, it again depends. Go by ear. When in doubt, go by ear. I'm gonna see if I could use this here. Where is it? So kind of what it does is it filters it and turns down the volume. I'm going to turn on distortion on this as well. Or I'm going to turn it off. Okay, strange problem what I face is my mix sounds different on headphones and speakers. Mostly I produce on Audio-Technica M50X headphones. What's the problem here? Very good question. Now, there's a long and a short of it. The long of it is something that I could go into if you guys want, but the short of it is basically you need to learn your headphones, and that is kind of the long of it as well, because you need to that takes a long time to do. Now it's like you have to learn what a good mix sounds like on your headphones and then learn to mix to that. So it's kind of like it's a mix between you not knowing your headphones well enough and also not knowing how a mix sounds well enough. Once you learn how a good mix is supposed to sound, you'll be able to adapt very quickly to other sources. So like I could produce on a very terrible set of headphones and probably get a better mix than some of the people that are just getting started. No, I would almost definitely get a better mix than people that are just getting started and they have no idea what a good mix is supposed to sound like, and they're using professional grade equipment across the board. Nothing but professional grade equipment. So it's like the two parts of it. You need to learn what your headphones sound like, and also what a good mix is supposed to sound like. The way you find out what a good mix is supposed to sound like is you choose one track that you really like and you think the mix is good. Personally, I would reference, if you're a trance guy, check out Gareth Emery's track, because he's got a lot of amazingly produced tracks that just the quality of the mixing is superb. It's crazy. So grab one of those tracks and listen to it on anything that you have that is like speakers or headphones or anything like that. And then you'll get an idea as to how that mix is supposed to sound on any sound system. And then go about and do it with other tracks as well. And over a period of time, you'll eventually learn what you're kind of looking for in terms of tone. It's very hard to explain, but it's like, you think at first, you want a certain sound, but then you end up getting a different sound. Like, for instance, I would not use... there's a preset in here that's a great example. Where is it? It's one of the sort of grungy ones. Oh, come on. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it here, but it's basically, it sounds very hi-fi. And, gosh, now I need to show you guys, because it's like, without the sound to go with it, it's kind of hard to illustrate what you'd be looking for by default. Come on, it's like, I think if I search dub, maybe it'll come up. Here we go. This is a great example. So I would not use this in a track just raw, because it doesn't have any mids, and that's where it all comes from. So it does have mids, but most of the sound here is this nice ring and the nice bass. So that sounds like a good sound when you're first getting started and you're like, hey, this is a really nice preset. But realistically, I actually wouldn't like focus on that if I were to mix this in. If I were to mix this in, I'd put more emphasis around there, I think. Because that's where like the actual body that you'd really want goes for. Or not goes for. That's where like the body of it really should be, as opposed to like it all being in the sub here. Because as nice as that sub is, it's not really what you want in the mix. So for the most part, I mean, you could use this in a way that you'd actually keep it pretty much as is. But from my experience, like, you'd probably want something more around here to get that sort of sound. And then I don't know, I might even filter this up. Because that'll give you more kind of like rumble, and then like you could replace that, have like a really heavy kick underneath of this instead. The kick is your sub. So yeah, it's like learning how to mix is a lot more than getting good headphones to mix on. The reason I suggest getting good headphones to mix on is because if you learn how to mix on a piece of very terrible equipment, it does not translate well when you get better equipment. If you get the better equipment and you're using like this crappy stuff that doesn't really translate at all anyway, then when you move over, you'll be mixing wrong to begin with. So the stuff you've learned won't translate over. So yeah, it basically, you just need to adapt your headphones. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, if it doesn't translate between speakers, it's because you're not doing it quite right in terms of like your overall mix, the tone of your mix. That's one of the easy things to do. Like I said, this is like the best example here. You have a bass line like this, and then this is what you'd think you want it to be, with all that sub and high end. But really what you need is probably something else, but it takes a while to figure it out. So just keep that in mind. You know, if your mixes aren't translating, don't get down on yourself unless you have terrible, like if you're using computer speakers, then you know, you could definitely blame it on your gear. If you're using ATH M50Xs, for these, I actually couldn't mix on these for a long time. It took me, oh goodness. You know, I'm just going to check really quick here because I'm curious how long it took me. It took me probably until, took me until about a year ago. I was actually able to start mixing on these. And I got these headphones closer to 2 years ago, I think. Yes, I got these headphones about 2 years ago. So it took me like a whole year to actually adapt to these headphones and be able to mix on them. But then again, at the same time, I didn't have anything else decent to mix on. So that was also my learning process of learning how to mix, period. So this is the sound we got right now. So I'm trying to figure out what else we're going to do with it. Now, what we could do is, let me just delete this track here. I might chill this kick out a bit with some compression too. So it's got like a lot of bass right now. I'm just going to thin it out. Okay. I'm hoping I didn't miss any questions here. Oh. Yeah, I guess YouTube doesn't have a theater mode in the live streams. I didn't realize that. Now, the great thing that I did was I actually made it so on my overview panel, you guys can't see this unfortunately, but I put the chat underneath of the video instead of to the right of it. It's kind of weird that they decided to put it to the right of it because that doesn't really make sense for a live stream, but whatever. Are you exclusively mixing on headphones or do you use studio monitors as well? Very good question. All my live stream tracks are pretty much exclusively mixed on headphones, but I do have monitors and I check stuff in monitors. So, oh, you do have theater mode? Huh. Well, maybe there is theater mode. I don't know. I'm viewing from the streamer perspective, so I cannot see what you guys are seeing. It's kind of different for me. But yeah, I do check stuff on my monitors. I've actually gotten to the point to where I could do a mix on my headphones, and it translates pretty darn. Whoa, sorry about that. It translates pretty darn well to my monitors. So it's not perfect. Typically, I do still have to do a bit of a boost around. On my master channel, I'll usually do a boost somewhere around here because the 1K to 5K area doesn't have quite enough as it potentially could. But other than that, it translates pretty well. So I think my latest remix, I forgot which one it was for. I think it was Freeze Time. That's right. Freeze Time. That one I barely had to check on the monitors at all. It worked really well and it translated almost perfectly. So yeah. Oh, it's not full screen. Okay. Yeah. Okay, you have to take off? Well, thanks for showing up back to the chaps. See you next time. Okay, so we have this. Now, the question of the day is, what do we do with this? Because what we could do is, I'm kind of tempted to push this all to the very back. And then grab a regular bass line and just kind of have that bass line running as the more centric thing, because that's kind of what you need in Deep House. You need a very centric bass line that kind of acts as most of it. I'm going to try Alchemy and go to basses, see what we could find in there. It didn't work too well last time, but hey, whatever. We'll try it. Okay, so bass, and see if we can find... This is all clipping. I had a pretty good one that I shouldn't have lost that one. Back when I had Synthmaster loaded in. It's kind of weird. Ah, this is exactly what we need. Okay, so we're going to start. I think we're going to start on D sharp, but yeah, that's where we need to be. We need to be D sharp. Okay, so that would be here. Nope. I want to go. Why is it not scrolling down? There we go. Okay. And so we need, this one needs to be, I think I might make this a different lower note here. Let's try this. I know this is a little bit boring, but we kind of got to get some notes plugged in here in the beginning. I'm going to mute these. Okay, I need to go back to the drawing board. One second, let me grab my iPad. Where's my iPad? Oh, there it is. Figure. Okay, So I had this initial idea for almost a melody, but not really. Let's see. Where was it? Okay, this is more what I was thinking about. Okay, so the idea here is I actually have a set of lyrics that I'm going off of that I came up with randomly. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it does kind of sound more like a tom. That is correct. I might change that. We'll see. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, and if I have the right button clicked, there we go. Slide these over. Then I'm going to shuffle them. So we're going to add a swing here. Okay. I'm adding a lot of swing here. Ooh, I really like that sound. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to force these legato. So trim and the following notes. There we go. And then turn this one back. Sweet. Okay. So I don't know. We'll go through and we'll see what we can do. I kind of like that sound, how it gets like all weird there when I move it around there. Might try that. I'm going to turn off the delay here. This is more we need. How do you add swing and what exactly is it? I have an idea what you're talking about, but could you be specific? Okay, so the way that you add swing in Logic is you just select a bunch of notes and then drag this swing slider here to whatever you want. What swing does is, if I could trim these to good length, it just kind of shuffles the notes so that they're not exactly dead on. So I'll do another example here. Move this over. So we have our 16th notes. So, and then we'll copy these over, and then we'll put swing on these ones. So, put a whole ton of swing on these. Trim. What I'm looking for. Trim notes to force legato. There we go. Okay, so this is the idea of what it does. It goes from a static sort of, what do you call it? Very painfully on time pattern to kind of a shuffle pattern. So take a listen. So instead of going da 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 da, it just kind of goes dun 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 dun. So it stays kind of in that time of a 16th note, but it adjusts the timing of some of the notes. So what you'll notice here is this note and this note, and this note are not off timed at all. They're just a bit longer. They're perfectly on time. And that's because the way a swing works is it moves these notes off to the right and kind of delays these notes. Now, I don't know exactly what the idea is behind this and why it works, but it works really well. It just like adds groove. So yeah, it's a really cool thing when you don't have notes 100% quantized and on time. It gives it a lot more human feeling, and it gives it a lot more interesting tone. One of the things I did though was these ones are overlapping. I didn't actually trim them, so it doesn't play all of these notes. So I could actually just like remove this note, and it's the same thing. Except it's the note ends up being a little bit shorter. So I'm keeping this way because I like the way it sounds when you go. If I play it from the right area. So this one has a lot of shuffle. This one just kind of has like these gaps. So I kind of like that sound. And then for the funness of the fact that I got a new plugin. Yeah, I think I'll make it probably. Kind of like this one. Okay. I think I just realized that I've actually done this exact same chord progression somewhere else in one of my other tracks. It sounds very familiar. Yeah, it's these ones. So what do you guys think of that? How's that sounding? Because I kind of liked how the bass line grooves now. Yeah, okay. So I'll probably have these muted for a while, and we'll just leave them alone for the most part because they sound like something I've done 100 times before. So the bass line is sounding great though. So that gives us a little bit of our kick punch back without like making it sound completely sharp and airy there. Okay, yeah, that's sounding good. We'll definitely keep that. And also, I should save this. Project will be TFS 02. I'll do that because I don't remember what the other one has. Does the bass line sound familiar? Oh, for like to a Hardwell track? I don't know. Yeah. I think Hardwell has been producing not. I wouldn't say not quite as much as he used to because I wouldn't really know. I'm not a good source when it comes to that information. But he is managing a label, so I do know that that has kind of changed some of his focuses. But yeah, I mean there were quite a few things that I really liked with Hardwell a while back, but some of his newer stuff I'm just like, you know, it's music, yeah, but it's not like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a chart topper. It seems like the only reason he's chart topping with those new tracks is because he's Hardwell. So, you know, I could be wrong. Who remembers Spaceman? Okay, who doesn't remember Spaceman? The funny thing is you say that almost like it was something that dropped in the 1900s. Not the 1900s. 1990s, sorry. Not the 1900s. Oh my god. But you say it like, sorry. You say it like it was something something from a long time ago as opposed to like, you know, a couple of years ago. It wasn't that long ago, was it? It was probably like 2009, 2011 at latest. I really liked what's it? I can't remember the name. But whatever. Hold on. Why can't I remember? Because it's like Apollo, that's what it was. Because like the name has nothing to do with the track. Yeah. I really liked Apollo. Okay. Did I miss anything here? Any questions that I missed? Okay, so yeah, okay, so I don't think I missed any questions here. By the way, if you guys do have questions, please drop them in. I've been going for about an hour, so any minute here I could potentially decide to I could just like wrap this up. So if you have questions, drop them in now so that we have time for plenty of talking with them, so I don't cut anyone short. Okay, so just turn on the bass there because it's standing out a bit too much. I realize I haven't been talking quite enough in the stream. That's because I've been trying to come up with something unique, which is pretty hard. And I kind of just get lost in the zone when I'm trying to come up with something unique. Because like this, like I said, it started out unique sounding, and then it kind of got like, it became a very standard sound. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this at all, but okay, so that's sounding good. What's the next thing we could do? Because I'm not too amazingly familiar. With what the genre kind of has in it. So we're gonna be in D sharp minor, which would be excited for the hi-hat part of this track. Oh yeah, we could do a hi-hat part. Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of good that I make progress despite the fact that I don't talk. That's kind of why I do that, because I'm like, you know what? I'd much rather not talk and get a bass line in than talk a lot and not get anything done. So, I mean, like sometimes it's good to get it's okay to get nothing done because there's a lot of good questions coming up. But for the sake of track from scratch, like when we want to make a lot of progress, it's like, you know, we need to get something down for our track. Because if I walked out with just this chord progression today, that'd be really sad. Because like I kind of feel like I want to just scrap this. So yeah, can we do a voice synth drop like in How Deep Is Your Love? Yes, we will be doing that for sure. Just wondering what genre am I making? This is going off of last week. We decided we're gonna do deep house, so I am working on a deep house track right now. Yeah, it's easy to watch the vid. Yeah. Okay, so my thoughts are okay, so I guess we could do a hi-hat sort of thing right now. That'll be kind of fun to do. Now the cool thing is I cannot use my hat loops that I usually use because those are for a lot faster BPM, and if you slow it down on this track, it sounds like garbage. So I can't use any of those. I'm gonna have to do something from scratch. And I kind of want to do something that's very unique. So I don't know. I think we'll do like we'll do a whole bunch of different layers and then try gating the layers with different gate patterns and see how that turns out. So that could turn out pretty darn cool. So so the first thing I want to do is I don't think I'm gonna find it here. I kind of want something that sounds like a very long hi-hat. I don't think I have that many. Okay, so I'm going to try this. Put it on every other kick here. And I'm going to drop the volume level on these ones. -10. And then what we'll do with these is we'll grab a whole bunch of different samples here and kind of mix them around. And then grab the gain on these ones. We're going to drop it to -16 actually. Probably do that for these as well just to make things simpler. -16. Sweet. Okay, whoops, wrong button. Obviously, I was holding tab. Okay, so we're gonna copy these here, so we kind of have like these anchors for our hat pattern. These are kind of like the main tone of it. So it's a very basic pattern there. Now what we could do is you could find a whole bunch of these other samples. Sorry for stopping halfway through my sentence there. We can find a whole bunch of these other samples and kind of shuffle them in, and then we're going to gate them and see how that sounds. So I could try doing this. Try that. There we go. Negative 16. And we're going to do the same thing that we did there with what section? Trying to think. So this was on the offbeat of that, so it's not going to be there. It's going to be there. There we go. And then we're going to put this one here. And then this one here. Okay. I mistimed something here. What? How is this so poorly timed? What did I do? Okay, so grab this one. Oh, it's there. Ah, that's why. Okay, I see. So this needs to be moved over 1. And these little suckers need to be moved over 1, I believe. Yeah. Okay, sweet. Okay, I'm going to grab that one. Maybe this one? No, not this one, maybe? All right, we'll look for another one. That's a good stereotypical sound. And then we'll put this one here. Actually, we'll try moving these over 1. See what the heck this does. And then get these. Gain will be negative 20. Okay, now I'm going to get all these, and for own convenience's sake, I'm just going to create a track stack, summing stack, and this will be hats before things get too crazily out of control. So you notice one of the things that we have there is we have pretty much what sounds like an interesting loop going on, but it kind of pauses. So you could hear that there. So that we're going to fill that up next. Okay, now I'm going to stick this one. Is going to be kind of like our variety sort of sound. So we're going to stick this here and here. Nope. Oh, maybe. Ooh, I want to turn these down first. Sorry. 18. Okay, so I think, I think I want these here instead. Yeah, it does sound off. Okay, and then I'm going to do something similar here. You know, I could just have those on time. Like that. these here, here, and here. Gain is going to be -20. Okay, so I'm going to grab these two here and move them back over here. Nope, not quite right. I'm just going to get rid of these. Where am I looking? I think here. And here? No. Dang, it's so confusing. Okay, here. I think that's right. And here. Okay, so really all I'm doing is I'm just trying to fill in the gaps without being 100% random. So there's like a lot of randomness to what I'm doing, but it's kind of planned in some regards. So we got rid of those gaps now. The only things I want to do with this one though is try to get rid of the There we go. I think this is like the first real hat pattern I've made that actually sounds reasonable. Okay, now what I'm going to try is I'm going to try sticking some what do you call it? Gating on this and see how this goes. That's kind of cool. It's kind of like a side chain we have going on here. So we're back to the beginning now. I don't know, I'm gonna go try Cable guys. I'm gonna try this one. So I'm going to try dropping this on, and then we're going to get the tree again, and then go to the... Okay, so these ones have a bit too much harshness in them. Just gonna bring that down a bit. These ones as well. Probably around the exact same area. When would you use gating and why? Gating is basically like, in case you didn't catch it, it's if we get let's get a good example here. I'm gonna create a pad. So we're going to try this. So this is one of the earlier chords that we had. Just going to loop this, and then I'm going to get a pad going here. Find a nice pad. Where's the pad? Pad. So this pad is just kind of like the swelling sound. And what gating does is this. It's kind of like a stutter. So more than anything, it's a stylistic way to kind of get something that sounds flat and make it dance around almost. So if we do this, for example, and then we get another gate. Layering gates is one of the coolest things you could do. So basically we just created this from that using presets. So, okay, is that plugin from Vox and Go? No. Train, you must have missed it. Oh, that's right. I think you did. I have... This one is by A1 Audio, I believe. Yeah, I think. But yeah, so I got a whole bunch of new plugins here. The paid one that I got is the Cable Guys Volume Shaper. The rest, I kind of went through at the beginning of the stream, and it's a whole bunch of really cool free plugins. So Yeah, so this one is a free one. I don't remember exactly where I got it because I just kind of went through and downloaded a whole ton of new plugins, so I could have fun with those. But yeah, this one is free, so it's called A1 Triggergate. So, yeah, kind of. It's kind of similar to the Voxengo ones. So I'm gonna grab another. What am I looking for? Cable guys, volume shaper. Okay, so now I gotta kind of mix this one in. Now that I've got the volume working. So I think what I want is cut around here. Have a bit of a boost here. And then one around there, and then just cut the extra sub. I'm going to try to mix in this one a little bit as well. So one of the things I did here is I did make this a little bit too hi-fi. You could tell it's missing that growl it had before. So I'm gonna try to fix this up a bit. That might work. Now what? Okay, so we do have it kind of in a very adjustable spot here. So I can move this around to kind of shape the sound a bit more if I want to, but I'm a little worried too. I think the hats are a bit too loud. So what I'm going to do is instead of pulling it down, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use this really cool plugin that I absolutely love now. It's Proximity, and what it does, instead of turning things down and then make it so you have to kind of like filter it down, EQ it, so it sounds like it's in the background, and then turn it down, you could just use this. And it kind of turns it down, but it also makes it sound like it's getting farther away. I'm going to want to EQ this though, because it's got a little too much around there. unmute the pianos for full mix. So these are what I have muted here is not probably something we'll keep in. So they don't really fit in Deep House. You know, I'm just gonna straight up delete them now because they don't fit. It's just like it's not Deep House. I think this one fits a lot better. I'm gonna try this though. So I'm just kind of situating this a little bit before or behind the bass line, because the bass line needs to be right up front because it's the focus. And I think I'm gonna get rid of this resonant peak right around there. Now, I kind of want to put distortion on this. This is where it might be handy to have sausage fattener, which I might get next week. But I'm going to try to work with this for now. Excuse me. Yeah, so I'm going to do one more thing, actually. Move that there. I'm going to compress this first. So, I don't know. We'll try one of our new compressors just to have fun. It's always fun using new plugins. I think it was this one. Yeah. Oh, this is an RMS. I don't know if I like that better. Nah, it's not really doing that much, so I'll just go back to a regular compressor for now. Add another layer of bass line, kind of more of a percussive. What other plugins am I planning to get? Okay, layer the bass line with a percussive layer, vinyl distortion on the sub bass. Okay, so I guess we could try. I'm gonna try slapping vinyl distortion on this really quick because I want to see how that sounds. So, because I haven't really tried this. Oh, I see. Here we go. That's how it goes. Okay. I don't know. I'm gonna keep that one off for now. Okay, so let's go to the other things. Camel Crusher on Logic soon. Maybe we'll have Camel Crusher on Logic soon. There is Camel Crusher for Logic. I have it right now. Where is it? Camel Crusher, right there. That actually might be what I need right now. Yeah. So the other plugins I'm planning on getting, I might get LFO Tool, but since I got Volume Shaper so cheap, I probably won't end up getting LFO Tool. I don't know. I might get LFO Tool though. Probably not, but maybe. I wanted to get Sausage Fattener, and those ones are pretty much the handful that I had on my list of need to get. And then from there, it's kind of going to depend because I am upgrading some other hardware in terms of my studio. So it depends what my budget ends up being. So I'm not 100% sure. I kind of want to get another synth, but I'm not sure which one. What's LFO Tool's problem? Add another layer of baseline. What kind of more progressive shape you need? It's good purpose. Okay, asking, can it replace sidechain compression? Yes. In fact, the reason I decided I'd get LFO Tool and potentially alongside Volume Shaper was because LFO Tool is usually used by professionals for sidechain compression. I actually found out really, LFO Tool has a clicking sound. That's good to know. Good to know beforehand, that is. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, actually, let me look. I'm gonna look really quick. EQPBOAR.com. So Equipboard is kind of cool. It basically tells you what equipment all the pros have, and if we search LFO Tool, let's see, LFO Tool. Come on. Here we go. So let's see some of the names. Deadmau5, Nicky Romero, the M Machine, Zed, Tiesto, W&W, Gareth Emery, and like I said, Gareth Emery has amazing mixes. Zomboy uses it. Marcus Schultz, who's a very well-known name in the trance industry, and Blau, Seven Skies, Thomas Gold, Kenneth G, Kashmir, Maddox, and Disco Fries, and more. Those are the only ones that are 100% confirmed to have used it. So, yeah, Kick by Sonic Academy and Nicky Romero is a great plugin for making kicks. That is correct. So that's one of the ones I was potentially considering getting. They also just released a new version of Kick. So it's Kick 2. I forgot that was on my list as well. I'm not 100% sure if I'll get that one, though, because I don't do too much kick synthesis. Because it's not something that I've felt the need to do that much of. I might, though. It'd be definitely a good tool to have in my arsenal. That's for sure. Yeah, okay, well, that's good to know. Oh, if you put 100% ducking super fast. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's good to know. Sometimes, though, you want that sort of click. It's kind of weird, but I know that sometimes I've had that click, and it actually added to the sound. It's weird. But, yeah, that is kind of something to be expected. When you have very fast volume changes that aren't natural, you're going to get some sort of artifacts because they're not natural. So, I might get it, just because, like I said, this one is used by a few pros, and then anybody who uses Kickstart is basically using this as well. But I might get LFO Tool just because, like I said, it seems to be one of those very widely accepted as an amazing tool. among producers. So right now, yeah, Sausage Fattener, LFO Tool, and potentially Kick, or Kick 2 rather, are ones on my list. There's also this one by Waves, which is called Max Bass, and that one is kind of like a harmonic bass generator. So you put it on your bass line, and it moves a lot of the sub frequencies up into the more the higher frequencies. And what that allows you to do is that allows you to have a much heavier sort of kick sound when you upload it to SoundCloud, and it drops a lot of the bass because of the processing and all. So then if you keep that kind of the harmonics from that bass in the upper end of the spectrum, then, or I guess I say upper, but it's really not that much higher. But what it does is it lets you retain a lot of that punch and heaviness of your bass, despite the fact that you've actually lost a lot of the physical low end. So that's a pretty cool plugin. I think it's on sale for $40 right now. So I may pick that one up because that one sounds like it'd be kind of cool. But I think between Sausage Fattener, Camel Crusher, and some of the MAXXBASS, yeah. I haven't heard too much about it. I think I've seen it in a few instances. But I kind of just want to try that. I don't know. We'll see. That one may be one that I do. But yeah, so there's a couple options that I'm thinking about. I might do a sample run as well. I'm not feeling too much in dire need of samples because I kind of just finished up a track for the most part. And effect samples are the ones that I always feel like I'm lacking in. So since I'm not using a lot of effect samples right now, I don't feel the need for samples, but I may get a subscription to Splice and get a few extra samples. So that's kind of my plan. And then, like I said, I'm upgrading my studio a bit. Hopefully, I don't know we'll see how this goes, but I may end up getting a 43-inch 4K screen. What that means is right now I have two screens. This one screen that you guys are seeing the recording of, and I actually have one more screen to my right, which I have the chat on, and I have the recording software on, so I could do stuff in the recording software, and I don't have to flip it up on this screen so that you guys see. So I have two screens right now, but if I get this 40-inch 4K display, it'll basically replace these two screens. I'll only have one screen now, except it'll have like double the height as well. So I'll have tons of workspace, and I'll have like amazing amounts of room on this. However, when I do live streams, unfortunately, you guys probably won't get to see that, because what I'll do is I'll just like record a 1080p section of the 4K screen and just send that to you guys. Because if I send it in 4K, what'll happen is this bar at the top will be half the height, and basically everything on screen, on this massive screen for me, will be shrunk down to your side screen. So it'll make a lot of stuff illegible for you guys. So I'll probably, like I said, just like record a corner of this screen. So this is basically what 1/4 of the screen would be with that 4K screen I'm getting, or I'm considering getting. I don't know. We'll see. That one's pending. That's something I've been wanting for a long time. I may end up getting that. That'd be really cool. And I'll tell you how that goes too, because it's a $200 screen. So it's pretty affordable for like the fact that it's a 4K screen and it's like 40 inches. So if that works out well, I will tell you guys that, and I'll kind of post a video on it. But I will kind of have to have a little bit of a disclaimer on it, because 4K screens do not go well with like regular Macs. You kind of need like a Hackintosh or one of the professional Macs in order to use one of these massive 4K screens. But for those of you with FL Studio, on the other hand, and are using Windows, 4K screens, they work perfectly with Windows. No worries about that. So, yeah. Can you tell how to upload songs to SoundCloud, because it cuts the low end too much to my liking? I also have clicking issues after moving the knob to max. Oh, you're talking about something else. Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay, so that's the really hard thing. When you upload things to SoundCloud, it basically sends your audio file using a very fast and crappy compression method into 128 kilobits per second variable bitrate, which, long story short, is a low quality bitrate. That means two things are going to happen. One, it's going to cut a lot of your bass, and two, it's actually going to garble your high end. There's one track that I have that suffers a lot from this, and that is my remix of Shadowlands. If you check that out, you'll notice the high end sounds very kind of washed out. But as you'll notice, and we get up to some of my newer tracks, it seems like the processing is better. Realistically, the processing isn't better. I'm just learning the art of mixing and mastering. Because when you actually do a really good mix and a really good master, those issues are mitigated because that's part of what a master is for. The master is kind of getting it's getting that huge spectrum you have and kind of focusing it a bit more into the middle, since the high end and the low end are going to be cut off with some lower end systems. So like, even if you have just crappy speakers, but you have a very high quality audio file, you play back that high quality audio file on these crappy speakers, and the speakers are going to taper off the high end and taper off the low end. So it's almost a natural thing. When you get a low quality file, it tapers off the high end and the low end. When you use crappy speakers, even if you have an amazing file, it'll taper off the high end and low end. So the idea with the mastering is you kind of shove the important bits into the middle, and you just like let this extraneous stuff be for the people that have amazing setups. And they could just kind of hear a little bit of that residual sound there. Now, a great example of this is some of the the remix of Summertime Sadness by, oh gosh, I forgot his name. It starts with a C, I think. Cedric Gervais, I think. We'll just say Cedric. So Summertime Sadness and Young and Beautiful, those two mixes are great examples of what happens when you actually filter off the high end in the mastering stage. It doesn't really sound like he filtered off a lot of the high end, but this is actually one of the tracks that stands out to me as having kind of like the high end filtered off a bit. So it's kind of like, it's a bit of a trade-off that's been said to me before is, you cut some of the fidelity in the high and the low so that most people with these crappy sound systems can listen to it and hear it normally. But if you get if you have a audiophile sound system and you have access to that high and low end, then you'll have a little bit of extra information to add on to it. EDM is unfortunately one of the genres that suffers most in the high end, because we tend to crush the high end, which is we'll kind of do this. We'll filter it off like this, cut it kind of like that, and then we'll boost around here. And what this does is it crushes the high end. You kind of get you get the brightness of this area or something, but you don't get the harshness of this area, and you don't have to worry about the processing that happens to this area or this area taking up space in the mix. So it kind of smashes the high end a little bit, and it makes it sound a little bit it's very crisp sounding. It doesn't sound very smooth and what's the word that's often used? It doesn't sound like it sparkles. It's not a sparkling high end. It's like this crisp high end. So kind of almost like a harsher version of it that still sounds bright without sounding too harsh, if you kind of get what I mean. So, yeah. So, put the name here. Summertime Sadness remix. It's if you search Summertime Sadness remix, it's pretty much the first thing you'll find. It's Cedric Gervais. Let me type this down. So, Time Sadness, and Young and Full. Let me make sure I'm spelling this right. CEDRICGRVAIS. Gervais? Something like that. Yeah. Okay. So, whoops. That was the wrong button. Remix. Okay. So I'm going to copy this into copy this into the description as well. I'll put that underneath the vinyl link there for iZotope vinyl. I almost said ozone. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So I think I'm gonna call it quits for today. Let me pull this processing off the high end. But we've kind of we actually got some good ground made here. We've got we've got a bass line, we've got a pad, which is filtered or gated, however you want to say it. It's not filtered, it's gated. Then you have the hi-hat loop, which is also gated. So it kind of just adds a bit of a groove to it. I'm gonna make this mix a little bit less. Okay, cool. So I think we made some decent progress this time, and I'm gonna have to listen to a lot more Deep House because I still don't understand the whole concept of side chaining. Could you show me the process and explain it? So I'm gonna explain it without showing you the process because I'm actually moving away from side chaining now that I have these plugins. So Volume Shaper is basically just a ducking plugin. For example, for our bass, we have this here, and if you actually if we were to see the kick would actually be situated. This is actually gonna be kind of cool. This is what we have here. So this is our region here with our kick. Boom, and let me get rid of this. So this is actually about the same size here. Let's see if I can zoom in just a bit more. Nope, that's too much. There we go. So this is about how it kind of... Now, we get a little closer. Maybe we can't. Come on. Okay, well, that's as close as it's going to get. So we have our kick here. Our kick hits, and then this one ducks out of the way. And then because this is basically like changing the volume. So the volume is at the bottom, and then it goes up as this kick starts to fade out. So that's basically what sidechain compression is used for most of the time in EDM. So that's essentially what we're doing. The kick hits. We have this active part of the kick, and this one ducks out of the way of it, and then it goes back up as this kick fades off. So that's essentially what we're doing. And you could do a very similar thing with sidechain compression using an actual compressor. The only thing is, it's a lot more complicated of a process because you're using the sidechain here, which is basically like the input, and then you have to use it to control the compressor. So for what elements of a song would you use sidechaining for? You pretty much always want to use it on your bass line, and probably, you know what, bass line, pads, and leads is generally a good thing. There's very few things you don't want to use it on, in fact. Like hi-hats, you wouldn't want to use it on too much. You do not use it on the kick, because this is what happens. If you put it on the kick, this is what happens here. Watch. Cable Guys, Volume Shaper 4. So we get this kick sidechain. If we put on the kick, watch what happens. So we have our kick here. If I turn this on, listen. So the point of the sidechain here is to give the kick room to hit. So that's where the volume kind of peaks with the kick. Like, remember, we're watching like these meters here, and if I mute myself, watch the meter. When the kick hits, the meter goes up. All these other sounds are kind of going up and down as time goes too. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get it so with this main stereo out here, when we put everything together, it doesn't all clip because the kick hits pretty hard and it's pretty loud. So if you have a bunch of noise going on already and then you play the kick on top of it, it'll clip. So what you do is you turn down the volume of those other things as the kick hits. So that means that, like, instead of doing this, you have your main volume here and then you add the kick to the top, you basically do this. Boop, like that. So instead of going up all the way up here and having your volume level hit this, you kind of have, your main sounds right here. They duck out, your kick comes in, and then as the kick fades out, they come back in. So that's kind of what's going on here. So your volume level kind of stays at the same position. Now, that's not entirely true, but in terms of like explaining how it works, that's basically what's happening. So if you put that on the kick is going to be ducking the same time it should be coming in. So what you end up with is this. You have your main sound, it ducks out of the way, your kick comes in, but it also ducks out of the way, and you end up with nothing. So that's what we're doing here. So now additionally, one of the things that it's used for is getting just like this pulsating sound. So for instance, I did this with this pad. If I get the... if I just have this here, it just kind of gives us this pulsating sound. Which sounds pretty cool, especially if we add the kick in. I'm going to pull this off. So it gives us this nice pulsating sound. So that's one of the effects you could use in terms of sidechaining. But for the most part, it's actually used to just kind of duck things a little bit. Like it's more obvious with the bass line. That's kind of what we have going on. So if we leave the volume shaper off, put it on. Really all it does is it kind of like lets the bass not hit the kick too much and clash and kind of create this weird thing. Yeah, oh yeah, sidechaining reverb is also a cool thing you could do. So that's essentially what, like, whenever I talk about adding a sidechain, that's usually what I'm referencing to. However, like I said, using my old compressor method, the concept is exactly the same, but it's a lot more difficult to implement. So if you watch these videos now, you'll probably have a better idea what's going on. But other than that, you can use sidechaining for modulating other parameters. I think ES2 actually allows you... let me turn this stuff back on. I think ES2 actually allows you to use it as a source for routing. So add software instrument. If we go ES2 here, then what I can do is right up here we have a sidechain. I can choose a bus that we have audio going through, and all it does is it takes the level of that audio and it uses it to change a parameter. So for instance, you could have like a hi-hat loop and then route it to this cutoff, and as the hi-hats are bouncing up and down, this cutoff will bounce up and down. So that's basically what you could do. That's basically all sidechaining is. It's getting the sound, sending it in through the side, and taking that as a way to kind of like modulate parameters. So yeah, no problem. So that's sidechaining, and that's a very crucial thing to know because, like I said, it depends on the artist, but a lot of artists say they put it on like pretty much every track. Other artists say they only put it on some tracks. Other artists say they put it on every track, but it's a very subtle amount. It's just enough to kind of give them make space, as opposed to like being this full-on like effect that is very present in terms of how it's heard. But yeah, it's like one of the very big things is like bass lines, because if you have the bass line hit at full volume at the same time as a kick, it just clashes and you get like this kind of weird rumbling sound, and it's pretty darn bad. So that's why you pretty much always want to sidechain your bass line underneath of your kick. So yeah, and like I said, a very easy way to do this is with Nicky Romero's Kickstart, because it's just like I said, all it is this minus the curves here. All you have is these presets, and these presets are just like different sidechain kick tones. So some of them are more towards that pulsating thing. Some of them are more towards that ducking out of the way just a little bit so that you could give the kick room to hit. So, but like I said, this one, if you are interested, has a lot more functionality. In fact, you could do multi-band sidechaining. So you could actually have it to where you have different presets for like the high end and the low end. But I haven't been doing that right now. But that is something you could actually do. But yeah, so this one is like a lot more fancy version, because these are the same guys that made Kickstart. This is the exact same plugin. It's just like I said, for Kickstart, they just took these presets and made it so you could only use the presets. That's why it's such a cheap plugin. You can't change any of the presets. You're just basically stuck with presets. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, and little tip there. when you want to do collaborations, use different DAWs. It's kind of difficult, but it can be done. One of the ways it's most often done is you'll bounce down the stems. So for example, in Logic, what you could do is you could hit File, Export, all tracks as audio files. And what it'll do is it'll bounce down each track as an audio file and name it all separately. So you could say, okay, here's a zip with all the audio files. And then I'm sending you, like this one's the boogie bass, and then this one's nothing. It doesn't get bounced down because it's got nothing in it. And then we have the pad, and then the kick, and then the hats. So it bounces it all down into these individual tracks the other person can mix and edit to their liking. Additionally, like Train says, pretty much you could also export MIDI. For example, if I have this region here, what I could do is I could right click it and then hit export as MIDI file, and then people will be able to drop this into their DAW, and they could use that to if you have a melody and you're like, here's the melody, but I'm not going to give you the audio file because I want you to try it with a different synth because I can't come up with a good synth. Then you'd give them the MIDI file, they drop it in, and just have that in their whatever synth they want to try it with. So yeah. What's the name of this sidechain plugin again? The one I'm using right now is called, I keep on forgetting the name. Volume Shaper, I believe. Yeah. Volume Shaper by Cable Guys. And it is $24 right now because it's on sale. And the sale ends April 2nd, right? No. May 2nd, sorry. Did I say April 2nd when I was talking earlier? I might have said that. May 2nd is what I meant. It ends May 2nd. So, or the sale at least. But a good alternative to this, though, as I was talking before, is Xfer's LFO tool. And that one is going to cost you $50 and it's not on sale. So, but yeah. Okay. How do you know a kick is in key, and can you change the key of a sample? Yes, you can. So one of the ways you could change the key of a sample is by going onto File here. So you're actually looking at the audio file. And you go Functions, Time and Pitch Machine, and you can move this up. So you could transpose it by 100 cents is a semitone. So 100 cents, that's one semitone up. Or you could do it negative, and that's one semitone down. Careful, though, because this speeds it up as well, I believe. I don't think it actually, I don't think it does special processing to actually pitch it up or down. It just kind of speeds it up or down. And then it changes that. So keep that in mind because it will change the tone of your kick quite drastically if you pitch it up too much. And also be a shorter sample if you pitch it up. If you pitch it down, it'll be a longer sample and it'll sound deeper, obviously. So, but how to find out the pitch of it? So this one says it's an F. That's an easy thing to go by. But additionally, what you could do is you could get a high resolution spectrum analyzer like Vox&Go Span. And we have Vox&Go Span open, set it to high resolution here, and then just find this peak here, kind of like, the highest point of it. And then if you look in the top there, it says F sharp. And so that means our kick is probably in F sharp here. Now there is some room for fudging around. Like you'll notice this, it's marked as a key of F. But F is kind of like now the thing, it bounces up and down here. So that's where it's kind of going to be. But that's where you're looking there. So if we go to F, that's kind of where F is. But if you notice, if we put it right around, actually almost right exactly on the peak here, is smack dab between F and F sharp. So this one isn't the best example because it doesn't have too much of a peak. But other ones will have like this crazy peak around here. And then a bit more tame around here. So you could do that. Or you could try the tuner plugin from Logic. It may also work. That is correct. It's a lot harder to catch because tuner. So yeah, so this one it's kind of saying it's saying F, and then it's kind of jumping around to some other ones. So it's a little bit hard, but yeah, this one is kind of catching it as F for the most part. So there's a few ways to figure it out. I get rid of that. Okay. You said the key of a kick isn't important unless you do big room or trap. It's not too important. Should you worry about it? For the most part, I'd say in your early mixes, no. You shouldn't worry about it because it's something that kind of like when you have very clean bass for your kick and when your kick is like this very solid long kick, like progressive house is one that you kind of need to worry about it a little bit. It's one of the ones that's like, maybe you worry about it, maybe you don't worry about it. But basically, if the bass sounds like it's conflicting in pitch with your bass line, then you need to worry about it. Most of the time, you don't need to worry about it too much. Although I could be saying this because I've never like played my stuff on a huge PA system that's like punching it out on like, you know, a very loud setting. So I don't know if it becomes more apparent when you do that. It probably does. So then you actually might care about what pitch your kick is in. But I do know for the most part, a lot of producers, like if you're doing these big room sort of like do sort of kicks that are like these longer kicks, then you definitely want to make sure it is in key. Because otherwise you'll screw yourself over because it's out of key and it's basically your bass line. So you want to be careful about that. But personally, I go by ear. If it sounds bad, I pull it out. If it sounds okay, then I'm just like, you know what? It may be out of key, but to me, it sounds fine. And I know I have a relatively tuned ear. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's relatively tuned. So if I could, you know, if it sounds okay to me, it'll probably sound okay to every average Joe out there. So that's my thoughts. Yes, Armin said that he uses a few good kicks. I'm not sure if that's like a practice that I would suggest. But just because like I'm one that doesn't like to use the same kick every time because I kind of feel like it's repetition and it'll kind of kill my creativity. But that said, if you have some very solid kicks that you know are good, then it may be worth using those and just kind of creating variants based off of those per track. So, it depends. Yeah, Armin did say, I don't know if he still does this, but he did mention that he has kind of like these samplers that are just filled up with his favorite kick drums. So he's just kind of like playing a track and then just goes through the keys on his keyboard and finds whatever kick he wants for this track. So yeah, you know, it depends on your workflow. It's up to you. So, okay, do we have any more questions? I'm going to wrap up if we don't, but if we do, I don't mind hanging out for a few more minutes. Da-do-do. Check your list. Well, I'm glad you got a list. That makes things makes it so you don't forget anything. Because I know like I'll have questions and I'll completely forget. Just hanging around. Well, it's good to have you here anyway, Klaus. So, okay. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good foundation for our track here. I mean, it's not amazing quite yet, but we'll get there. You know, there's a lot more to go. This is just 4 bars of stuff. What exactly is a filter? Okay, so filters are why does this keep popping up? Oh, you know what? Quit Splice. It's because it's like asking if I want to save the newly saved track here. Okay, so filters are actually very broad in terms of their scope. So, what do I want to pull this up on? Okay, so basically everything on here is a filter. So this is a filter right here. This is a filter, a singular filter. This EQ itself is actually a collection of filters. And this is a filter as well. This is also a filter. So, like, in terms of a very vague explanation, anything that kind of like changes the tone via EQ sort of ways is a filter. But more traditionally, a filter is typically a low pass or high pass filter, which you'll find a lot more often in in synthesizers under the filter section. And that's typically either this or this, or there's also one called a bandpass, which I can show you here. Audio units, Apple, AU bandpass. This is a bandpass filter. It looks like this. It just has this section here, and you can kind of change the bandwidth, and then you slide it around. So if you listen to the hats, so it's kind of like a mix between a high pass and low pass at the same time. So so basically what you need to remember when it comes to filters is there's the high pass and the low pass, and sometimes other stuff can qualify as it. So I mean, it's kind of hard for me to simplify it any more than that, but yeah, just play with filters. Find filters and play with them, and you'll have a lot more fun. Now, so one of the things that is often a misnomer here is you will often find these envelopes. Some people call them filters, and that is not the appropriate name for them. So this envelope here is not a filter, although a lot of times people accidentally call an envelope a filter. So keep that in mind. Envelope is something completely different. Filter is that sound that we were talking about before. It's this kind of, you know, this one's a low pass right now. I can make it a band pass. I could add a lot of resonance to it. Or I can make it a high pass. Or, once again, a low pass. So, and like I've mentioned before in other videos, remember that low pass and high cut are the same thing, and high pass and low cut are the same thing. So, because if you're cutting the lows, you're letting the highs pass. Yeah. So, okay. So, when would you not use EQ or compression? When it sounds good. Don't use EQ and compression if it sounds good already, because you'll just screw it up. That's the rule of thumb. It's like, so a lot of a lot of mix engineers, I should say, and recording engineers live by the thought process that if it sounds good, you don't touch it, and that is taken to extremes in some manners. They will record a mix for a band, and what they'll do is they'll actually just, like, their initial draft mix is literally just getting the volume levels of all the tracks right. Like, they won't EQ, they won't compress, they won't do nothing. They'll just get the volume level for all the tracks right, and then they'll slap a maximizer or a limiter on the master bus, and that's kind of the reference point. And they're like, okay, so this is my draft mix, this is kind of what I'm working with. And then they'll go in, they'll pull that, that limiter off, and then go back in and kind of decide what they really need to EQ and what they really need to compress. In terms of EDM, there's a lot more EQ and compression in some cases. Other cases, not quite as much. So just keep in mind, if you're uncertain what you should be doing, your best bet is just go with a low cut, because low cuts it's a lot harder to damage a sound with a low cut than it is to damage a sound with other things. Like if you do this, if you have like a high shelf, it's very easy to damage the sound. If you do low shelf, very easy to damage your sound. If you have one of the peaks here, you put it in the wrong spot, same thing. On the other hand, this low cut, if you pretty much just slide it up and make sure you're not cutting too much, then you're pretty good. Like it'll help your mix more than it'll hurt it most of the time. So that's a good rule of thumb, EQ, if you have no idea how to EQ. Do you EQ every sound in your mixes? Not always, no. Like for instance, right now, I kind of have like an overriding EQ for this right here. So I've kind of cut the mids and the hi-hats just to get them out of the way. But these other ones, they don't have any EQ on them. I think this one has EQ. This one doesn't. This one does. and I believe this one doesn't, and this one does. So we have EQ on this one, and this one. The rest don't have EQ. And then additionally, I don't have any compression on any of this as well because I don't feel a need to compress my hats right now. I might do it later, but I highly doubt it. Okay. Okay, you've been working with the filter modifier. Yeah, the filters are going to be a lot of fun to get used to. That was one of the things that really confused me when I was first learning about synths. So, yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, do we have any more questions? Any at all? Or is it time to call it a day? And also to answer that other question up there by Axel, you could scoop out space for other instruments to fit in. That is true, but don't straight up do that. You have to go by ear, not by thought. So like for instance, just because I do an EQ in this area, like for example, I have this EQ that boosted around here, that doesn't necessarily mean I need to go to this one and do a cut there. I kind of actually have that in some regards, but if you actually compare these, you'll notice I have a boost right here and I don't have a cut exactly in that same spot. So I have one close to it, but you know, you don't really have to do the exact precise slice, you know, cut out spot for everything. But if you keep that in the back of your mind while you're mixing, it'll help you make more precise decisions. So call it a night. Yeah, if 1:58 a.m. over there and it's 1:28 what? It's 1:28 p.m. over here. I don't know how there's a 30-minute difference somewhere in there. But okay, whatever. Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to call it a day. Thank you guys for showing up to this this episode or live stream of Track from Scratch. First one in our series here. We'll be doing more next week. Same time, 11 a.m. Pacific time, Tuesday. And I'm not sure what we're going to do next week for sure. But we'll be doing a lot more with this. And I'm going to be a lot more in tune with Deep House because I'll have more time to listen to it. So I'm just getting into Deep House. Not too familiar with it, but I'm sure I'll pick up a lot more as I go here. So thank you guys so much for showing up here. And I will see. Oh, wait. Ear thing picking the right sounds would minimize clashing. On the ear thing, picking the right sound would minimize clashing and reduce EQ. Yeah. So picking the right sound is kind of hard. It's like I went through a whole bunch of bass lines that kind of sounded similar, but I ended up settling with this one because it kind of has this hollow tone to it. So that's kind of what I did with this one. It saved me a lot of trouble with EQ. If I had a rougher bass line, I would have had a lot harder time trying to EQ it to get it to fit, just because it doesn't work quite as well. So yeah, picking the sounds does have a huge impact, and if you pick the right sound, chances are the amount of EQ you do will be a lot less than you initially thought. So that's pretty much all I have to say on that one. That one's like one of the ones you just need to spend a lot of time working on and a lot of time like dialing in your ear to be able to, you know, hear when it's the right one. But like I said, it just takes practice, takes a lot of work. So, but it can be done. Don't be disheartened by that. Just be encouraged by the fact that there's a lot for you to learn and there's a lot of, you know, things to pick up. Yeah, that's actually motivational tip of the day. If you feel like you can never like do stuff, just keep in mind that means that you haven't exhausted all the creative and artistic possibilities. So if you feel like you're not making it, keep in mind that just means you're not done and you got a lot more you could potentially do. And if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then quite frankly, you're never going to enjoy it. But if you enjoy it now, it's only going to get better. So keep that in mind. Don't do production for the money. Do it if you enjoy it, because you will not make music that other people enjoy if you don't like what you do. It's that simple. It shows through your work. You're an artist. You're projecting yourself into these creations. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, then you're never going to have good tracks. That's how it's basically going to be. Now, there are cases where you could force a track out and it will get popular, but just because it gets popular doesn't mean it's like an authentic, good track that people will look back on and say, hey, I could really feel the artist in that one, Like, for instance, an example is a bad example, but those songs like Gangnam Style and stuff like that, where they just kind of get popular and you can't really tell if there's a lot of like, artistic passion behind those. They're popular songs, they're addicting songs, they're catchy songs, but you don't know if you could really find a deeper meaning to them that kind of makes them stand out as like a long time classic that really holds through the test of time. But anyway, what would I know? I'm not a professional. Keep that in mind. And I enjoyed hanging out with you guys, have you guys here, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for hopping in.